Hello, Edwina Murphy-Droomer is my name. I've got a funny message on my screen. Hold on. Got it. Maybe? There we go. I'll start again. Hello, Edwina Murphy-Droomer is my name, and I want to warmly welcome you to this interview in the series where I am speaking to phenomenal feminine entrepreneurs, getting their insights on how we take control of our future, our prosperity, and our freedom. Today, I am beyond delighted to introduce you to Forbes Riley, although I'm sure many of you know who she is. I first came across Forbes when she was speaking on stage at an event in Palm Springs. And she is, without question, one of the most engaging, mesmerizing, amazing speakers I've ever come across. So Forbes, thank you so much for being with us.
Well, if you're going to be that nice to me, I will do anything you want. I know, seriously, that is about edifying and being wonderful. Guys, and I'm joining you. The reason I'm not wearing any clothes and you are, is I'm down here in Costa Rica. It is 105 degrees in the shade at night. And I'm in the jungle, so I'm excited to bring you a different perspective. I've been here for about 5 weeks since my birthday, and I don't want to leave.
Oh, magic. Well, I'm madly jealous because it's freezing here in Australia.
Well, I've not been down under, but I'm excited to see that part of the world.
Good. Well, we will welcome you with open arms. Forbes, you've a celebrity TV host. You've got a health and fitness business, the ultimate entrepreneur, motivational speaker, many hats. But I know you started your working life as an actress. So if you can just give us a little bit or a whole lot of your beautiful story of how you went from there to what you're doing now.
Well, I don't know that you're going to live long enough for me to tell the entire story, so I just should truncate it. I'll tell you what. I'll start at the very beginning because I think it's important to put things into context. I'm realizing that my daughter, who is a very big entrepreneur at 18 and very successful, met me when I was 52 years old. By the time she woke up at 10 years old, I was already 52. And so you guys see me now, I'm 61 years old. That's a long lot of water under the bridge. And you go, wow, how could I ever do that? Well, I'll tell you what, this wasn't always this. This was a bit of a journey, and not a very good one, by the way, very kind of sad and confusing sometimes. And I was going to just show you a picture, because some people say, well, Forbes, how ugly could you have been? I love that question. I started out as Francine, a very cute apple of my dad's eye, who was an engineer and a magician. And I was very cute, I think, as a kid, except for this mouth of mine. Well, yes and no. I had a very weird mouth. And my orthodontist put me in braces for 8 years. Now, they took that little girl and a full set of braces, and then they put this inside my mouth. And so for about 2 years, I talked like this. And so I didn't communicate very well with anybody. And forgive that we're right near one of these roads. And then so every once in a while you'll hear people going by. But then when I was 8, I broke my nose. I got hit in the face with a baseball bat. My nose grew a little off the side of my face. I had frizzy hair. I'm chunky, a little overweight. And it was not fun being me. All I wanted to be was pretty. And I spent a lot of my time dreaming and watching movies and TV and fantasizing about being anybody other physically than me. I loved who I was. I just hated the package it came in. And then my dad is a printer, and he slipped one day and he cut off the front of his hand. And he spent 3 years in the hospital. And so while he was there, my family had no money. And this is when the notion of, if you talk about a dream out loud, you can manifest it.
Yeah.
And so my mom and I were sitting in the hospital talking about, we had no money to go to college. I was top in my class and it was a horrible time, but that's the dream it part. Then when you choose to talk about your dream to other people, she said, look, there's this pageant. And my mom said, it's a beauty pageant. And it was like, well, shit. We both knew I was not it. Which really, I remember that moment, hurt my feelings so much. And my dad's doctor turned to both of us and says, I'm going to fix her nose. Her nose is badly deformed, and he did. And within a weekend, this cute little girl popped out. And if all it was a freaking nose job, the braces had already come off, but now you can see my eyes. And all of a sudden it looked like, and then I entered this competition in the middle of the mall. And my why, we always talk about whys for entrepreneurs, was that I wanted to, one, save my family, and have my dad be proud of everything we were up to. And I ended up being in the Miss Teenage America pageant with Bob Hope. And there I am, kind of chunky, but I got the cutest nose and the brightest smile. And I learned a lot from that. And that was the beginning of a journey. I then graduated college. My mom was always 260 pounds. So I have a whole concept of how to be fit in your body, which is she's in her 40s in that photo. I'm in my 60s. I
Wow.
vowed not to look like her as much as I love her and I miss her terribly,
Yeah.
but I'm going to be who I am for the whole rest of my life. And I'll tell you what, I wanted to be this glamorous actress. I wanted to wear gowns and accept awards. And then I wanted to meet Prince Charming because I watched Disney all the time.
Yeah.
And I said to myself, I would like a man. Now, by the way, my first husband and I, who's the father of my children and a very lovely 6'6" Notre Dame football player, we raised a little boy for 12 years who was murdered.
Oh my God.
And that right after my babies were born, my twins were born, it was very hard on us and it deteriorated who we were as people and certainly as a couple. And so the second time around, which is now 5 years, I said, for the first time in my life, I want somebody who's my Prince Charming. I want someone who looks like he walked off the cover of a romance novel. I didn't know he'd be 17 years younger and the most amazing man in the world, and that he would love me so much that he just wants to hold me in his arms. And I wrote this story of my life because I decided to. And then I went on a quest saying, if I've gotten what I want, I call it Forbesing it. What have you Forbesed lately? And that's when you manifest something, especially when no one else thinks it's possible. I teach and I preach and I love this notion. And then I walk around asking people, what do you want?
Yeah.
And the reason I do that is because a lot of started out with, what do you want?
Mm-hmm.
And when I've asked people, there's usually two answers to this. One of those answers is they don't know what they want. No one's ever asked them. They've been abused. Edwina, I not only coach how to pitch, and I will say when I'm one of the best in the world at this, I've grossed a little over $2.5 billion. As a woman who teaches this, I have no competition.
Yeah.
There's nobody who spent 28 years on home shopping, 194 infomercials, and took a product that nobody wanted and sold 64,000 in 24 hours. I do have a lot of accomplishments, but it's not about me at this point. What it's about is going, how did you do that? What are those pieces? And I had no, you mentioned Oprah before we got on the air. I have no role models. I have pieces of role models of women I've never met. I hadn't met Jane Fonda when I said I wanted to be famous like her because her voice was heard.
Yeah.
I've never met presidents' wives or Michelle Obama or even Oprah. I have met Elaine Lelaine and a couple of other amazing women, but I was already established by then.
Yeah.
For me, I made my mentors in my head. I made them up, my imaginary friends. And I would talk. It's kind of funny that we now talk to our phone all the time because I've been talking to a hairbrush my whole life. I've been accepting my Oscar since I was 10 years old. So when I've been on stage to accept awards, it feels very natural. I've been doing it my whole life.
Yeah.
But that is what manifesting is, isn't it?
Yeah.
And so last night, this is typical, Edwina, and I know you hear this as we're on a journey to help other people. This beautiful woman in her 70s, I teach a couple of classes. One is how you pitch, the other is how you're good on camera, and the third one is a personal branding. And she's 70 something years old. She's 1 week into my pitch training, and she got on the air with all of us and said, oh my God, I've never been married. I have no children, but I've met the most amazing man. Forbes, I owe it to you for helping me come out of my shell. Now, she said that in a very charming way, but there was something underneath that didn't resonate. And I said, wait, you've never been married, no children in your 70s. She's like, oh. And I asked her what her first memory was, which is one of my techniques. And she said this, Edwina. She said, I don't know if it's true, but I think my dad might have touched me in the crib. After all, he is the father of my sister's baby. There's a reason that she's never gotten what she wanted. Somebody robbed her of it. And the sad thing is she's typical, not atypical like I thought. There are so many hurt people. And if you're listening to me, you're an entrepreneur. And here's how you know that you need help and you don't need therapy. There are people who do what I do, not just me. I'm not touting just me, but I'm saying that you want to do some breakthrough therapy. And Edwina knows what I'm talking about. But if part of you thinks that you're successful and part of you goes, maybe I'm not. Part of you wants to win or lose weight and part of you goes to eat a donut. We call that parts integration. It means part of you has been separated to deal with certain traumas in your life. You cannot be a successful, thriving entrepreneur if you haven't healed some of those parts. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
And so I'm on a bit of a mission now to be a catalyst for change, to just by being an example, by sharing stories. I've got my beautiful 18-year-old daughter in that other room here in Costa Rica. Do you know that girl started a company in June 2020? She's grossed $742,000. So let me say that again. She just graduated high school 5 days ago, $742,000. What are you waiting for?
I will play that to my third child, who's going to be 18 this month.
Well, now it's funny. Now be careful, because her twin brother doesn't follow that road. He is an academic. He got straight A's in the hardest classes, and he's going to have a very different path. So it's not for everybody. But you mentioned that your audience is entrepreneurs. And what is an entrepreneur? You know, an entrepreneur is not somebody who just loses their job and starts another one. It's not somebody who just wakes up one day and goes, I have an idea, and then runs around willy-nilly. Entrepreneurship, I think, is a state of mind. It is somebody who is not willing to settle, who is willing, however, to work 80 hours a week instead of the 40, maybe not take lunch breaks, but has a very clear vision, mission, core value, mentorship, and a team and people around them that is allowing them to make that happen. Without that, you're just a dreamer, and dreamers are not entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs can be dreamers.
I'm still working on the team. The other bits are happening.
Now, so let me ask you a question. As we're doing this for people, we actually started a company to build teams. All right, so my daughter's doing a training on June 17th, and it's called GSD. You know what that stands for? Get shit done.
Awesome.
My daughter has shown me through Focus and through time management systems that are basically free online how to break down projects and do that. So if anybody wants information, find me on social media. But this little girl, whose name is McKenna Riley, has been teaching marketing for years. But she finally looked at me and a lot of my students and friends who are long out of high school and said, how do you guys get anything done? You're all procrastinators. You've got a book over here and a project over there and this over there. Just pick one. And then she listens to people fight her. Well, I can't just, guys, if you don't just do one, you can't hire her. She's like, I'm going to teach a class on how to get shit done.
Love it. Love it. So the first thing that you said, I think, was vision. And that's, one of my passions. So let's talk a bit more about vision and the role that it plays in from where you are now to where you want to be.
I call that Forbes factor.
Yep.
I actually have a name for everything. I'll tell you why. Because I've been a manifesting machine since I was a little kid. I manifested winning that event. I walked in, now I'm 16 and I don't realize this. Something you all need to be very aware of. A law does not need you to believe in it for it to be true. So I don't believe in gravity. Well, it seems to work no matter whether I believe in it or not. It doesn't need me to believe in it. So manifestation is a law. It's the law of attraction, good, bad, and indifferent. It is a law. It's not a theory. Now, if I don't believe in that, that's okay. It doesn't matter. You're going to attract what you attract, and that's how we do life. If you're smart, you go, well, if it's a law, maybe I should obey it, figure it out, and utilize it because it's here for my benefit. And it's fascinating. So I'm 15 years old, and I walk into this hall of 500 girls who all want to be Miss Teenage America. And I said to my dad, holding his good hand, I'm thinking, it's 500 girls. One of these girls is going to be on stage with Bob Hope in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and it's going to be me. Now, the only reason that's a good story is against all odds, it became me. And there's a moment when I look at those old pictures of me on stage, and in my eyes, I had already won. I know this sounds crazy, but when the braces came off and the nose got fixed, I was going, you guys, look how cute this is. And nobody was doing that. Nobody felt that way. They were nervous. And I have noticed since I've been little that I don't see things the way other people do. It's because I grew up with no friends. I grew up very lonely in my head, watching movies and TV. That's really where my life was. So I don't have people in my world going, you can't, I don't have anybody in my world. You can't tell me not to do something. I do whatever I want to do. I've been doing that. I've never had a job. I've made money. I made my first million when I was 27 years old. And Edwina, I haven't really publicly said a lot of the things I'm going to be saying now. I made a deal with myself that said, look, you can't say everything about you until your kids are 18 years old. Till one, they're old enough to know, but they also don't need me to take care of them because it takes a lot of sacrifice. I do a lot of interviews. I invest a lot of time in other people. But I created a company in my 20s called Stripogram, where I delivered singing and stripping telegrams in public. I had 3 rules: no nudity, no sex, no touching. I set out to embarrass men who had power, and I did it 10,000 times. Let me tell you something. I was a crazy 20-year-old, and I never talked about some of the things I've done, but I've always gone in the back door around the left side. And you talked about acting. I would have loved to have been Julia Roberts or Sandra Bullock. Those are two careers that seem to fit me. I starred in my very first movie that I ever auditioned for. I've been on some of your TV series called 24. I've done a lot of work, but it never got to that star level where I got the Emmy Award for acting. It came close. And the close part really hurt, but the universe kept kicking me going, it's not, you know, being an actress is fun, it's glamorous, but it doesn't really help people.
Yeah. Yeah.
I help a lot of people.
Yeah.
And I know that it needs me to be here. It's why I did not get on a flight United 93 in the morning of September 11th, even though I have an airline ticket. It's why when I watched the shooting in Las Vegas of 58 people being murdered from the window of the Mandalay Bay, and I'm the person who photographed it all. It's on my iPhone. In fact, I was on with Good Morning Australia that morning, talking about what I was actually watching live as it was happening. So I've lived to tell these tales. I survived Dexter being murdered. Dexter was black. He was killed by a black kid. I have a lot of theories on this. You can't call me racist. You could, but it won't make any difference. But I have a platform to speak from about what happened in my personal life. Not many people have that. I've had 3 friends murdered, all with guns. I got into an argument with Pierce Morgan. I was standing in Las Vegas, right in front of the Mandalay Bay, and he was working for Good Morning Britain. We were arguing because I still don't necessarily believe in gun control. It's not guns that kill people, it's definitely people. And if I was given a platform like this, I get to use it. And that's what I'm doing with the rest of my life. It feels like a calling. I work with a lot of people. I have an intense intuition and a passion for good.
Yeah.
And I have stood up many times when I thought there was an injustice. And by the way, when you stand up sometimes, or you're the pioneer, you get shot with arrows. It's not always easy. It's not always glamorous. But if you're called to do that, you just do it.
Yeah. Forbes, how do your story of sort of not having friends at school and having that lonely, I resonate with that very strongly. How did you go from there to setting up a company? Have you got a way to kind of articulate how you took the step from that girl to what you created so quickly?
Well, the first company, I had someone help me set up the structure, so that's not really fair. I think there's 2 kind of companies that you can do. Number one, go apprentice for somebody. I'm going to leave out a lot of details. It's why I need about a week and a half to tell my story. I was a social secretary for a billionaire. I had no skills whatsoever. I'm talking like this from New York. And I said that I want to know how the rich people live. And I very clearly had that in my mind. And I answered an ad in the paper. I had 0 qualifications. And I got the job. I was, next thing I know, I'm living on the Upper East Side of New York in a 15-room apartment with the Grace family, who were billionaires. And I'm in charge. And I'm talking like this because I'm from New York. I just want to be an actress. I just want to work on soap operas. They thought I was kind of cute. And I remember the moment when Mrs. Grace turned to me in the car and said, "You need to get Louis Vuitton out of the trunk." And I said to her, "Who's in the trunk?" This was before internet. And she's like, "Oh, you'll learn." And I said, "Yes, I will. I am here. I still eat with chicken with my fingers. I have very few manners. I'm kind of an anomaly." And so there are a lot that I didn't know. But now as I'm sitting listening to barons and earls and princes and watching Mr. Grace do stocks in the morning and seeing how business is done and shadowing him every once in a while, I learned a lot. I was on a learning mission. Then when it came to food and health, I found myself living in an ashram and eating vegan food and chanting. And I've had a breadth of places I've gone. And so business just makes sense to me. But you have to find, number one, if you're young, live your life. McKenna has lived a life because she's been traveling with me since she was 8 years old, 4, maybe even younger. We've been to Europe, we've been to China, she lived a life. But I don't recommend that you dive in at 20. You know what I did in my 20s besides start Stripogram? I lived at Club Med. I designed game shows for Club Med. And then in the wintertime, I did stand-up comedy at ski resorts. I have career ADD. I would go where the wind took me. So I love doing certain things. Now, when it comes to buckling down to business, you have to get educated. Go figure out by the way, nowadays you can learn how to do anything on the internet. Literally learn how to open it up. What does it take to do it? You're in an interesting moment now where you're going through that. I need to scale and hire people.
Mm.
And do you know what an SOP is?
Mm. No.
Okay, that's what you're missing. And this is what believe me, my daughter and I teach this now. So an SOP is a standard operating procedure.
Okay.
There are
Yeah.
things, Miss Edwina, that you do all the time, that every entrepreneur does. What you must do, and it's painful when you're a solopreneur, is step out of your business to work on your business.
Yeah.
So if you're somebody who has figured out, if you have customers, right? So my customer service SOP, let me go through this. Customer buys a spin gym, right?
Yep.
And texts us and say, I don't know how to get this started. Well, I'm not going to answer that email anymore. It comes in and it goes to my assistant who says, oh, great, we have a little procedure that says we call them back immediately and says, hey, so, and we say a certain script. So nice, so excited that you like Forbes Riley's, have you watched the video? If not, I suggest you watch this video. And if you have any questions, please call me back. We are then, the SOP then says you send them an email immediately that says this, this, and this, and then blah, blah. And so every time somebody comes to us with that issue, there is a standard operating procedure.
Yeah.
So you are doing a podcast or a summit right now. Every time you take this interview, I will bet you have a system.
Yeah.
Most entrepreneurs don't take the time to teach someone else their system.
Mm.
And so they end up doing it all by themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. I am fortunate. I have a virtual assistant who actually travels the globe. Wherever she is, she does all the back end stuff for me. It's amazing. Mm.
But you said that you want to grow. What are you experiencing? What do you want to be growing right now?
Just the ability to create more of these amazing resources and to reach more and more people. So if I could outsource all the connection pieces, as in actually reaching out to people and just having those interviews set up for me, that takes a huge amount of time.
So I think what an interesting idea is to create a JV relationship with somebody exactly in the same position as you, who's also looking for that, so that you could split resources. I know, my whole thing, I have 3 words that I live by: strategy, research, and leverage. And those 3 words will get you everything that you want. You have to sit down and you have to strategize. What is it I want? How am I planning on getting there? Do the research. Who's done it before? Do I have a business plan? And then leverage everything that you've got, the relationships that you have. And most of us just not only don't do it, but have no idea how to do it. So here's another thing I started teaching out of necessity. I want people to make money, because coaches are good at taking it, but they're very rarely good at actually making it. So I said, you know what, that doesn't work for me. So I have a coaching business and I created an affiliate program with that. So if you recommend my program, I give you money. Now, that's great. I've made hundreds of thousands of dollars recommending other people's programs. I understand how it works. I gave the affiliate link to several hundred of my students, and 6 of them made over $100. Now I'm like, okay, what's wrong with this? What I realized is that they don't know what I know. So I am now, for $15 a class every Wednesday, literally for an hour of my time, holding a group class that is all about my strategy, my leverage. So I tell you how to do the affiliate, but then I'm now so excited, I'm just going to keep going. And so this last Wednesday was interesting to me, because you get to see, I've created almost $1 million company with no website, and no ads, 0. And I did that so I could tell people I had no website and no ads. How do you build it? And then I'm going to show people step by step what I do. So last week, because we all take a lot for granted. You either take for granted that other people have magically figured it out, or I thought people knew some basics. So for example, Edwina, if you're at a point where you don't know anybody else, you're locked down, you're no longer networking, how would you drum up 10 new leads if you wanted to?
Well, the way that I've built my business, my email list and so on, my clients, is through these interview series. So I think of myself as a wisdom curator. I come up with a subject that I think people really need to hear about or will learn from. And then I pull in all these beautiful people that are experts in that topic. Then they share it with their lists. And then my community grows. People get to know me, and I get to create these beautiful resources for people across the globe. So that's how I grow my tribe, is actually in thousands at a time, in bursts, as opposed to drip numbers. Yeah.
So I looked at that model and said, yeah, not for me.
Yeah.
But I said, how would I create that model differently? And I'm telling you what, that model spurred me to create a course called OPP. I created a training called Other People's Platforms. And you're doing your model right now, and I'm doing my model right now.
Mhm.
That's how this works. Is that that's a lot of work what you're doing.
Yeah.
I took the time to craft my own strategy about who and what I am. And I do this for other people. I have them in 6 weeks, build their brand, their personal entity, what they're good at, and fill in all the business model blanks. And then I tell them to go out and find the summits to be on, to find the podcast to be on, and to leverage their time that way.
Yeah.
But what if you wanted 10 people for Saturday?
How would I find them? Like, so on my email list, or?
No, you don't know them. 10 totally new people. You want 10 people to come to your $10 training.
I would leverage social media. I imagine that would be the way I would do it.
So here's what I taught last week, and I thought this was pretty obvious. I will go on, I fill my Sunday trainings with 30 to 95 people with no ads. Because one thing I'll do, I'm curious about people.
Yeah.
And I said, here's what you do, go fishing.
Yeah.
Go fishing. So there's a couple of great speakers that had a big summit last couple of weeks. I go onto their group page and I read, and I find a post that says, oh, entrepreneurs over 50 who have twins. Oh, I know those people. And then I read going, oh, look, oh, I like that person. Then I will go to there and I'll message them, not a bot message, I will simply say, hey, I'm just noticed that you like this, I like this. I see that you're doing this, and I'm looking for this resource, or whatever it might be, to be engaging.
Yeah.
They'll write back to me. If half of them write back to me, I can do all this in an hour. I literally can turn an hour into $5,000 to $10,000, because I'm not, and again, I'm the one doing this. I'm going to be teaching people, but I like doing this. I like finding people. It is part of my social release and outlet, and I'm good at it, and I'm curious. Remember, I didn't have friends growing up. So I don't want to, now watch this. I personally don't want to go to a networking meeting. I don't want people falling all over me or fanning or whatever people do when they see me. I want to meet people for real. It's like dating. If I wasn't in love, I never go to bars, but I would go do online dating, because I want to know all about a person before I actually see what they look like.
Yeah.
And so I've enjoyed, and I'll tell you what, Edwina, people who are in my class were like, oh my God, that's genius. I could just sit there. I'm like, yeah, you could. I built a television studio and I ran a multi-million-dollar business off of LinkedIn when it was just starting, because it's just genius. You find exactly the people that you want to connect with about a subject you want to connect with. And then my life changed thanks to Clubhouse. But now I'm going to go back to what I teach though. So Clubhouse is great if you understand how to what? Strategize, leveragize, and monetize.
Yeah.
And so what are you doing there? Why are you there? What does your profile look like? What does your Instagram look like? And if you just do that part of your business, and guys, this is all free. Let's backtrack here. Go to your Instagram. So let's say you're not a new entrepreneur and you've got an idea for a widget. You want to sell a widget. Let's just say I just made this, okay? Because I would do this differently 12 years later. I have this wonderful product. I know it's about health and fitness, but it's also great for entrepreneurs. So I would start a page, and I wouldn't let anybody know what I was doing just yet. And I would start a page and beautifully design the first, 12 or 27, how many tiles, so that you could scroll down so it doesn't look brand new. And I would take beautiful photos, but I'd have a real intention. I'd write a business plan. My goal is to get people stuck on a Zoom call or in quarantine to get a little bit of exercise to this very unique product, right? Yeah. And then I would do the photos, and then I would look and find other people who are in similar businesses. Maybe I'd find a nutritionalist and say, hey, could you promote this to your people? I'll talk about your take on vegan eating. Yeah. And I would build a base like that for a month, so that there's just a small audience, but a genuine, real audience. Yeah. Then I would go into Clubhouse and I would write a profile that really reflects the fact that I'm into portable health and fitness and wellness. And I put up a nice picture, and then I would hunt for rooms. I wouldn't open my own room. Everybody wants to open their own room. No, no, no. Why would you fish in a pond where there's one fish? I'm going to go to a room where there's hundreds, or maybe only 50, and I'm going to meet people who are focused on this, and I'm going to start the conversation. Now you got to also understand your customer journey. What does that mean? When somebody meets you, Edwina, they have a certain, oh, I met her. Now what happens? In my world, if I was just doing this, they would go, oh, you're into health and fitness. They go to my profile. Is my profile fun and attractive? And is it really inspire you? And this is where my pitching comes in. Does it inspire you to take action?
Yeah.
Now, an action doesn't have to be a sale. I think as long as you can get a yes, you win. So watch this. Edwina, do you want to see something cool?
Yes, please.
I win. That's seriously. But most people who pitch this, Edwina, they'll go, oh my God, I have this thing and it's made out of metal and Forbes Riley design. I'm not even going to talk about this. In fact, when I meet people, I say, do you want to see something cool? They say yes. I say, give me your thumbs. And then I will have them play with it. And I don't say anything. So as you're writing all this down, you little entrepreneurs, write down this phrase, less words, more impact. I don't want to know what a spin gym is. I don't want to know how you discovered it. I don't want to know anything. I want to know what, because people buy what they want, not what you think they need.
Mm-hmm.
And so all of these theories are great, and you can listen to me talk, and I love talking, but it's not about me. I was in business with Serena Williams, and I learned probably some great lessons from her. One was she has 5 coaches. Well, first of all, here's what I did learn. I've been watching her whole life. Watching her has never made me a better tennis player. Watching this interview and hearing all the things is not going to make you a better pitcher. You have got to get on the court in the game, and you've got to fail. I still can't hit the ball, save my life. That was the first big lesson. Up to you to decide what you want and then practice it and become an authority in your world. Yeah. The next one is, she said she had 5 coaches, and this was stunning to me. This was years ago. She had a weight coach, a food coach, a financial coach, but then she said she had a tennis coach. And I was like, girlfriend, you are the best that there ever was. Who's going to coach you? And that was my mentality. Now, you all only know what you know.
Yeah.
Let's pretend you don't know much. That's how I go through life. I don't know much. Teach me. And she said, my tennis coach is not very good at playing. I'm like, sorry, what? She doesn't have to. I don't play her. She's here to help me. She said, when I'll be doing what I do, and all of a sudden my shots are a little off, and I'm looking over there trying to figure out what. She'll walk up to me and go, you dropped your elbow. Oh, that one thing. And now your coach, somebody, not you. Yeah. If you do not have a business coach, you do not have a business, you have a hobby.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're going to have a coach to be a coach. To be a coach, you must have a coach. Yeah. It's one of the things that Shanda's had to taught me.
Yeah. And then at least at some point, because you cannot see the coffee in your own cup, you don't know which way you're going, and you don't see the whole game.
Yeah. Yeah. Forbes, for people that are watching you and soaking in all this amazing wisdom, I can imagine that there is some conversation of that's okay for her. You know, you're so gregarious and full of all this information and knowledge. And, you know, so do you battle imposter syndrome? Is that something that you still face? No.
I've never battled that. I don't even know, I'm sorry. We should erase that from our vocabulary. There's no such thing. And it's bullshit. Everybody, as they go along their journey, levels up. Yeah. Do you think the first grade teacher says, oh, I'm an imposter, I don't know if I'm smart enough to teach kids, or the high school this is a bullshit made up thing. You're not an imposter, and to feel like that or even think that that is possible. So, there is a moment, I will tell you, where I'm very excited about who I've become. Yeah. I always thought I was just going to get fired. I was hosting the X Games. I got there going, they hired the wrong person. Didn't matter at all. I still did the job. I did the work because I always knew I could do the work. It's not my job to decide how famous I am or not. Do you think Oprah wakes up in the morning and looks in the mirror and goes, whoa, I'm Oprah? I mean, sure she does, because you think Jesus did that? Oh God, that's so cool. I'm Jesus. That's right. I'm Jesus. Yeah. So stop, just knock that. I don't understand the point of that. I know that I've worked hard my whole life. I know that I've failed more than anyone will ever know. I've suffered more than most people should ever suffer. And I'm going to tell you something. I've also earned everything I've ever gotten. Yeah. So when you define imposter syndrome, what are you talking about?
Imposter syndrome to me is the feeling of never being quite good enough, and it is that sense of people see me and perceive me in a certain way. Can I possibly live up to what they're seeing. It's that
First of all, okay. No, but here's what's wrong with that whole sentence. I don't really care what they think. And neither should you. Stop caring. People like you, don't like you, think you're wonderful, not wonderful. It's irrelevant to me. I show up, people say to me all the time, God, you're a lot nicer than I thought you would be. I love that one. That's nice. Thank you. Because I'm very direct because I have ADHD and I don't have time for small talk and I get bored easily. People are like, oh, you like to be the center of attention, because I'm weirdly shy. If I'm at a party and I'm not the center of attention as an extroverted introvert, I have to go home. I don't know how else to be. So, and people, and I literally woke up this morning, somebody called me a legend. Oh my God, a legend. That's nice. Thank you. I appreciate that. But if you don't think that you deserve something, come train with me. Give me a weekend. I have a thing called breakthrough training, and I know you've been through something similar, and I'll tell you why. That's a hardwiring in your head that you actually need to fix. The I'm not enough thing is I'll tell you what, we culturally don't want you to be enough. The girls on the front of the magazine do not have that skin or those legs. They don't. They've been, and every once in a while you meet like a stunningly beautiful woman, congratulations. But that's not typical. They don't look like what they told us people are. People who have a lot of money commit suicide all the time. So my advice to you is stop worrying about whether you're an imposter or not and fix what's broken so that you believe that you're enough. Because newsflash, and if you don't think that you're enough, go hang out with a quadriplegic. Go hang out with my girlfriend Christine, who's got cerebral palsy. Go spend a week like I did in the hospital being septic from a kidney failure and a kidney stone and thinking you're going to die, and just go, God, every day that you give me from here on out, I'm going to be so grateful. I don't have time to worry what people think about me. So I'm going to tell you, if you've got time to worry about being an imposter, your life hasn't been bad enough. Congratulations.
I'll ponder on that. It feels, it is breaking through those stories that we carry, which is a big thing that I talk about a lot. We have very strong ideas and very strong stories that we carry to define who we are. And when somebody busts that open, it's like,
I have a whole different way of talking. Remember, I don't have people around me telling me good, bad, or indifferent. And I think that every belief is a lie anyway. You know how that is? I know that because spell out belief. BELIEVE. Everything you believe about yourself is a lie. It's what you believe. I have another theory that all memories aren't real. Now, this is an interesting one. This has healed a lot of people from rape and trauma and other things. Unless it's happening to you right now, it actually never really happened. It happened and it's stored in your memory the way you choose to store it. And if you're under duress or trauma, when you store a memory, it's pretty freaking distorted and it will mess with you. And I've spent my entire life, because I've gone through massive trauma, studying NLP, studying hypnosis. I'm a magician. Here's how I know that most of what you're thinking and talking about right now on some level for people is flat out bullshit. And I don't mean to be rude about this, but have you ever gone to a magic show? Have you ever seen a gentleman cut somebody in half? Let's just assume you have, yes?
Yeah.
You know he lied to you.
Yeah.
And you paid it anyway. Did you ask for your money back? When you didn't cut her in half, I came to see you cut a girl in half and you didn't do that. You should be mad at him. He lied to you. Now that's a little strange way to look at it, but so you are willing to let people lie to you all the time. And so our perception of things is not real anyway. Now watch this. I'll do a magic trick for you just because now I'm so inspired to do this. I'll take this little piece of paper right here. It's a little piece of paper. All right. Okay, I've made a prediction, okay? Let's see if this works. This is gonna be crazy. I've made a prediction and I'm gonna stick it right down here, okay? And this is weird. I made a prediction. I'm gonna take my book here, and I'll take this book, okay? I'm gonna put a couple of things on the book. I've got an iPad, I have a pen, I have a spin gym cord, I have a plastic bag, and I have what else do I have? That's pretty much all I have. All right, so you see these things? I have an iPad, a green cord, a plastic bag, a blue pen, and a black pen, okay? Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
Edwina, will you say the name of any three of those things?
iPad, plastic bag, black pen.
Okay, so black pen, plastic bag, and iPad. All right, let's take those, put those over here. And would you say the name? I've got a green cord and a blue pen. Would you say the name of one of them?
Green cord.
Okay, so green cord is what's left sitting on this thing right here. See that green cord? Right, nothing up and down. You could have chosen anything to leave at the very end of this, but we've chosen green cord to remain here. I have one prediction that I thought that Edwina would leave at the end of this trick, and it would be a green cord. How did I do that?
The brightest? I don't know.
Yeah, I can do that anytime I want. You know why? Because magic is manipulation. Magic is a lie. Well, and I'll tell you something that, and by the way, that's now listen, now see where can I just play with you for a second? Do I have your permission?
Yeah, please do.
Your interpretation of life just said, all right, it must be the brightest, even though you knew that's probably can't be right, but that's what you went to because that's what you believe might have been, right? But you didn't go about it in the most strategic way possible. And this is how you do something, is how you do everything. Now, I distracted you enough, and that's what life does, that you weren't actually as clear thinking as you thought. Plus, you believed a myth. The myth is that you have free choice. In this game, you have no choice because I wrote this before the trick started. So I know, begin with the end in mind. I know how this has to end, otherwise it's not a fun trick. And so everything I did steered you to let this be what was left at the end. You had no choice, but you didn't know that. Yeah. But you could have sworn you had a choice.
Yeah.
So guys, apply this to your life. I could have sworn it was imposter syndrome. Wait, you're telling me something different? Yeah, people lie to you all the time. And you don't realize it. When you have a different perspective on life, like I do, as a magician, as a hypnotist, as somebody who mastered I literally have a master's, and I've studied this endlessly, what NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, does for you, how you affect people to do something, how propaganda will get people to do crazy things, how the news will just think about all the things I'm saying, and you're like, that's interesting. And when you study this, and you step back, you go, you can't believe half of what you believe about yourself.
Yeah, I absolutely subscribe to that. But I know that there's just that is it just words? Is it just language? What is that? Because I'm not good enough. I don't know enough yet. I mean, I've got
you know what?
I speak to hundreds of women who just need to do the next course in order to be good enough to do something else. So are we calling that something? Just calling it something different?
Yeah, we're calling it high school graduation. Don't go to high school because they teach you to ask for permission to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
No, you have been programmed, my love, to believe that. I will tell you, if I ran the society, not me being who I am, but if I was a power hungry person, do I want everyone in my world to believe they also have power? I don't. So society sets it up because if everybody has power, nobody's going to take out your garbage and clean your toilet. So we've set up a society, and me saying this isn't going to change anything, but everybody can't be the leader. So we're going to train you in high school to be an employee. We're going to train you to follow the rules. We're going to train you to sit there for 40 minutes and study biology and study algebra and study this and go to lunch, and if you get a grade, and teach you that that's life. I have a first row seat and I offer this to people. And what's great is not everyone's going to listen to me anyway. So the ones who do go, oh, wow, that's really different. My daughter, who has watched her mother her whole life do this crazy thing that I do, and it comes from being an ugly outcast, by the way. And she was about 13, and I get called into the guidance counselor's office, and they're all upset. Your daughter's very disruptive in school. I said, really? What's wrong? Well, we're learning how to type a resume, and she says she doesn't need to because she's never going to get a job. You have to get a job. And I'm listening to these exact words, knowing what I know, and I'm like, she has to get a job doing what? Oh, well, you have to. That's where you go to school. We're going to send you off to college. You're going to get a job. Really? And I said, McKenna, what's the deal? She's like, Mom, you know. I'm like, shh. She said, these people are going to work for me. I'm never going to work for anybody. And so I said to the guidance counselor, my little snippy word, going, I think she's right. I don't think she ever needs to do a resume. And there's like, what are you talking about? I said, ask her how much money she made this year. Actually, can I ask you a question, guidance counselor? And my daughter's like, oh my God, Mom, don't do this. I said, let me prove a point. How much do you think guidance counselors make in high school, Edwina?
Oh, 30, 40,000. I'm not sure.
30, 40,000 for a year with kids. My daughter at 13 was making $35,000 a week doing drop shipping. I said to this woman, I said, my daughter's going to gross almost $1 million. It's going to take you 10 years to do that. You want to come work for her? Because this job isn't working for you.
Yeah.
Now, I don't say this very publicly a lot. I don't want to put people down. I don't want to get people upset. But I will tell you, if you have an entrepreneurial heart and a spirit, you need to listen to what I'm saying. Because you need to rewire your belief system. I don't have time for you to believe you're not good enough. If you believe you're not good enough, please don't talk to me. I will train you out of that. But you can't be in my organization. You can't be the star of your world if you're carrying baggage around. And so one of the reasons my company, and I teach business skills, but I also do a breakthrough training because, and I don't advertise it anywhere. I only do it for my students because you cannot function at the level of success if you're carrying a 42-pound bowling ball with you everywhere you go. If every time you get on a plane, you don't take the 2 bags they let you, you got 25 bags in a trunk in a closet that you're dragging with you. Let me bring this shit with me. Why? So I'm demand, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, and you really should think about this, you get 2 pieces of luggage, maybe just a carry-on. How free can you make yourself of limiting beliefs that are keeping you stuck where you are? And my new avatar is Morpheus from Matrix. Have you seen the movie?
The Matrix is Morpheus is
Fishman. But you've seen Matrix?
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
The whole premise of the Matrix is what I'm talking about. I have 2 pills here. I have a blue one. If you take the blue one, you don't see anything different. Go back to work. Get your 2 weeks vacation. Do what you're doing, please, because we need you to take the tickets and the toll and be the waitress. Do that. If you take this red pill here or this green one, it says you're going to study with Forbes Riley, you're on Mr. Toad's Wild Ride, because the world will never look the same to you, Mr. Nemo. You will, Neo, not Nemo. Same thing with Finding Nemo. But Neo, you're going to discover that it's a little lonely and frightening out here. You jump off a cliff, no one's paying you a paycheck anymore, and you're going to figure it out on your own. But there's nothing more beautiful for me. Now, it's not for everybody. Yeah. And by the way, can you just have a side hustle? Yeah, I'll give you enough tools in my world or enough inspiration to let you go do a network marketing company, to pitch people your ideas. I think everybody should have a side hustle. You should have enough money to go on vacation with your family because that's where memories are made. Yeah. You should have enough income that you can sleep at night and not be so sad. And so that's part of what I do. And then for leaders and people who really want to up level, I like to talk to them.
Forbes, I hate to cut this interview off because it is just so incredible. I've learned so much and I'm so grateful to you for your time. I know you've got a little gift, something for our audience if they want to tune in to you more.
All right, so I'm not about videotape at the moment. If you would like to, and I don't know how long this will last, so if you're seeing this in perpetuity, but if you're seeing this soon, every Sunday I teach a class for 2 hours live. Me, you, and a Zoom, and lots of people. And it's interactive. And why you want to come to this is because it's a real actionable skill. I teach you how to pitch, how to get your idea, your product, your service, your charity into the hearts and minds of somebody else. It's not selling. And thousands of people have gone through this. It's simply go to www.askforbesriley. There's no charge, it's 2 hours, and there's no obligation. I hope that you love it and you tell your friends to come to it. And I'm still doing it live every Sunday. I took 2 Sundays off in a year for my birthday and the Super Bowl. But I will tell you, I think it's the best way to spend your Sunday.
Yeah. What time do you do it, Forbes?
Well, it's 5 o'clock Eastern US. So what time is it there where you are right now?
It is 10:30 a.m.
Okay.
So we're day ahead of you. So it'll be Monday mornings for us in Australia.
Probably very early. Now, if you're going to air this soon, can I give you something else that's pretty important and special to me? It's also free and it's designed for Australia. I've had a lot of great fortune. As a woman speaker, it is a challenge to speak at the highest level because it's dominated by male speakers. And they're beautiful speakers. There's Tony Robbins, Gary Vee, Grant Cardone. There is Jack Canfield, Damon John, Deepak Chopra.
Yep.
They're on a stage, and so am I. I am the girl in that world.
Mm.
And if you go to www.Forbes Riley Live, you will see a beautiful, it's only happening on the 19th and 20th of June. And I will, and actually this go around, I've been on tour with them for a while. We actually speak every month. I will share this with you. They just leveled up Mel Robbins. I just got kicked off the very top spot, but it's okay. So I'm okay because there's Mel and Les and Deepak. She just got invited to the party. And there's Jack, myself, and John and Eric.
Yep.
Guys, this is free for you. You go to ForbesRileyLive.com, and I got to tell you, you know me. It's a beautiful thing. There's a special time for Australia. In fact, if you go to the very, very bottom, where's Australia time? This is an international company. There you go. Kenya, South Africa. What time zone are you on?
AEST. That's okay. I can work that out and pop it in something. This is going to go out after that event, but I might actually just cut this bit out and share it.
Well, I would love you to do that. And then I will tell you, we also, but I'm on tour with them. So on the 11th and the 10th and 11th of July, there is a free conference, again, with me and as the woman in that world, I want the support. It's free. And we need to elevate because I'm not going to be the only female up there.
Yeah.
It's been me and Sharon Lecter. Edwina, this has been I have worked so hard to break open some of these stereotypes of why aren't more women? Why is it always all of these men? And I love my men, but I'm right now to support you and your summit and all that you're doing, seeking to help women understand the words that come out of their mouth cannot be colored with "I am not enough," or we will never be heard. There's not a man up there who is suffering from imposter anything. Men do not apologize for their existence, and we have done that too long.
Yeah.
So that's part of my mission.
Magic. Well, whatever I can do to share that, I will absolutely be sharing it and tuning in. Forbes, thank you so much. You are so unbelievably generous to give all this time, and I'm very grateful.
Now, can I also, all about over delivering, can I invite you to do something?
Please.
I have a national radio show that I do every Wednesday, and I would invite you to be one of my guests.
Oh my goodness. It would be an absolute honor. An absolute honor.
By the way, if you come over here and say hi, just I'm finished. No. Just come down. I've just done just for 1 second. You want to meet the 18-year-old McKenna who's doing as well as she's doing. Come have a seat and say hi to Ed. Yeah, sit for 1 second. We're just done.
Hi, McKenna. It's lovely to meet you.
All the way in Australia. Now, we've not been to Australia yet.
No, that's definitely on the list, though.
When were you 18, McKenna?
I'm 18 right now.
Yeah. So have you been, like, when was your birthday?
Oh, it was in December.
Okay. My third daughter is going to be 18 in June.
Very cool.
So we were just talking about women. Give me 2 sentences before we go. What does it mean to be a woman? You're watching your mom be a woman on a man's platform and speaking pages. How important is it to, she actually asked me about the imposter syndrome. I'm like, what are you talking about? What is it? What do you think about just being a woman coming up in this world?
I think it's really cool. I think we're definitely teaching on a new kind of undiscovered land of like what it means to be a woman in this world and kind of how we don't have to actually act like the men to fit in. We're kind of like caving our own way, but also fighting against that stereotype of like we don't have to wear makeup and heels and we don't have to look a certain way and act a certain way and not curse and act proper because we're women. So I think it's just a really interesting time to be in this industry.
And then as an 18-year-old, for her daughter can hear this, ageism is a thing. People don't look at you and take you seriously, do they?
Some people do, and then some people do not. They don't respect me at all.
And how do you feel about that? What are your thoughts?
I think it's fine because my work proves itself. Yeah. So once people do see my work and see what I've done and see the kind of money I've grossed and made, and the way I live my life kind of shows how well I do, the respect level definitely changes, but I also don't try to fight it because I don't have enough time in the day to worry about that you don't respect me because I'm 18 years old.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of disgusting. I think the fact that like age is really what you're looking at. It just shows a lot about their character, and I don't have enough energy to care at this point.
Final thought for women who are listening to this.
What are we on? Are we just
She's got a summit coming up, so there'll be thousands of women listening.
Oh no.
Phenomenal feminine
I
entrepreneurs.
thought we were just in a meeting.
Oh yeah, no.
Oh wow.
It's not live at the moment. Don't worry.
So I apologize. I thought you knew that. So final thought. Let's assume there's 1,000 women entrepreneurs who have daughters, who've been daughters, listening. Final thought from you.
Just keep pursuing it, keep going. This industry gets really hard sometimes. I recently just went through somebody who had absolutely no respect for me, who kept calling me a child actually, and was comparing to me what they were like at 18. And it really goes to show that you have to fight for this, and you really have to every day. You wake up and you know that you're proving somebody wrong. I'm always proving something. I have a lot, and I think I hear billionaires and all these successful people always say that you're not actually successful if you don't have haters. And so I have haters. I have people who look down upon me and who go, you can't do that. And I will say, as much as support is so awesome, the hatred and the you can't do it is the best, like, motivator for me. It's the I'm going to prove you wrong. I'm going to show you that I can do this. And then I think the feeling of once you actually accomplish it and you put it out to the world and you know that people said you couldn't do it and you did do it is like by far one of the best feelings in the world. It really is. And it's not as much as like a fighting against like the like it's not to get revenge, but it's just like that proof of like I can do this. I'm enough. I've done it. I think it's awesome, and just keep doing it. Honestly, like for anybody listening, I didn't realize that there was going to be many people listening, but it is hard. I've been in this industry for 6 years now. In the beginning, it was really hard. And the fact that you just have to wake up and keep going no matter what anybody tells you or who messes you over, like takes money from you, you just honestly really just have to keep going. It's hard, but it's worth it.
I love you. Thank you.
Love you too.
So inspiring. You're a wise woman.
Thank you.
Very
Well,
cool.
Edwina, thank you for your time as well. I will follow up with an invite to my show. We're getting eaten up here out in the jungle. I'm noticing you're like kind of getting all the bugs on us.
Oh, I'm covered in mosquito bites. I've got the sweet blood. I don't know what that is, but they love my whatever.
Well, I will tell you, it's also made my life much more interesting sharing it with my daughter and watching her grow and become who she is. That's been the best part, the sweetest part. It's like, you have a great dinner, but there's this really nice dessert. She is the dessert to a meal that I've just had over my entire life. You're like that.
That's such
weird
a weird analogy.
I love it. I love it.
I honestly is the best to work with my mom, because I was talking with my brother and I have the most fantastic relationship with my parents. And they always say business ruins those kinds of things, but I love to talk business. I'll talk shop with my parents. I call my dad like 5 times a day just to talk business with him, and it keeps our relationship going. And everyone asks me, what do you want in life? What's your dream? And my dream
you're living
is,
at it.
yeah, my dream is to make her dreams come true. And I'm very happy with that right now.
Beautiful. I'm dying to share this. Thank you so much. Forbes, I look forward to speaking with you, and I've also got a little prezi for you. So if you've got a minute just to shoot something through on email at the best address for you, where you'll be.
Well, you already have my email, my name at Gmail.
But your postal address, I've got a little prezi for you.
Is this still going to be posted to your?
No. I'll send it to her privately.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's all good.
That's very sweet. Thank you.
I wouldn't share her postal address with the world, I promise.
See, how can she get stuff to Australia, but I'm trouble getting spin gyms to Australia?
Tracking. It's difficult to track things to Australia. In small quantities, it's easy, but in mass amounts, like if we were to get 100 shipments, I would guess maybe 3 of those would get lost on the way there, which is not good that's not a really good percentage ratio.
I'm surprised because we get massive amounts from like Amazon and all those. I mean, it's all tracked through Australia Post.
Yeah, I have to figure that out.
In order for it to make sense for us, we have to do a lot because it costs money for all the tracking on that. So it'd have to be a certain quantity for like the ratio to make sense.
What's
we'll
a
talk about
lot? Do you know what a lot is?
I would have to.
She
go
doesn't handle that
through-
part of the
I
business.
don't
It's just
do
that
I just know
our
the-
business manager on that side of the business just didn't want to ship to Australia. So
Well, it
I have,
doesn't really want to ship anywhere outside of the U.S. 'Cause
well, there you go. We're working on that. Well, anyway.
it also shipping
Thank
is
you so
like for a
much.
$40 product, it's like $100 and something.
Well, yeah,
to
it does
ship
make it much more expensive.
Yeah,
That's where it doesn't become very cost effective when your shipping costs
we'd
more
have
than
to
your
have a
product.
warehouse in Australia.
Well,
That's what would make sense.
hint in Melbourne. All right, on that note, I'm getting eaten alive. I'm like itching. I'm going to run. I'm going to go
Thank you
inside.
so
the-
much.
Mwah. Bye, my darling.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.